Yariv Levin's new judicial reform did not pass without harsh criticism over the weekend. And here with us to speak about the latest legal discussion is Faculty of Law and former Dean of Law at Haifa University, Professor Gad Barzilai. So, Gad, the proposals for judicial reform of Justice Minister Levin are far-reaching. Former heads of the High Court, including Aaron Barak and Eliakim Rubinstein, are warning that the proposed changes are dangerous to the courts and indeed to Israeli democracy. What's your view on this?
Well, I think that every legal system does require to be changed or altered. Notwithstanding, I do agree that the reform proposed by Justice Minister Levin does endanger a few fundamentals or crucial fundamentals of any given democracy, especially three proposals which were addressed by the Minister of Justice. Firstly, to politicize judicial nominations, which is very dangerous for judicial independence. Secondly, to nominate personal legal advisor instead of the State Attorney General, which is again very problematic. And thirdly, what we call in constitutional law, override stipulation, which does mean that the Knesset may overcome any court ruling quite easily by garnering a majority, a simple majority of 61 members of Knesset.
Now, Benny Gantz is calling for an inter-party forum to consider legal reform so that it has wide public support. In the past, Benjamin Netanyahu said that he supported the approach. Would that not be useful? It seems that the opposition has no input.
Well, it might be useful, but actually I am very pessimistic whether the governing coalition would agree to such a venue. The counter-argument by the Minister of Justice might be that everything might be deliberated upon within the Parliamentarian Committee of Law and Justice. I would say that it seems to me that we are talking about a sort of a intellectual arms wrestling, and my only hope is that the Minister of Justice will consult with people from with a different view, like the views that I've expressed now, namely that any legal setting may enjoy a reform, an alteration, but not in such a drastic way as was offered by the Minister of Justice. Whether the politician would agree with Benny Gantz's offer, I would be very doubtful about it.
Now, Gad, 2/3 of the country, including 45% of the new government's voters, are against Deri's appointment, and the High Court is still deliberating. What are the legal and political ramifications for the coalition and the court if Deri is not allowed to serve? The High Court is out of the decision to see Deri.
Well, if Deri is not allowed to serve, first of all, it would certainly would have ramifications and trajectories. It would enhance the attempts to curtail the judiciary, which I see as a very severe move. Secondly, it certainly would create a sort of a governmental crisis. However, I don't expect the government to fall or to break down because of the court ruling over Deri. Last and not least, and certainly one of the most severe repercussions might be that the government, through the Knesset, would legislate a law that may overcome the court ruling. So however you look into it, we are facing a constitutional crisis. I don't expect the downfall of the government, but I do expect a constitutional crisis around two issues. Firstly, judicial independence, and secondly, what the government may do facing a negative court ruling about Deri serving as a Minister of Interior and Minister of Health.
Professor Gad Barzilai, thank you so much for joining us.
You are very welcome.